This is me in March this year, less than 3 months after I quit my teaching job and I went all in on myself. Truth is, that tractor almost taking out my camera wasn't the scariest thing that happened that month. Investing a huge amount of time and money flying to the other side of the world, chasing my dream of creating documentaries for athletes and just hoping it was going to go somewhere was. Nobody tells you that quitting the safe thing doesn't feel brave in the moment. It just feels like free falling. So I did what I always do and I went all in. I flew to the other side of the world, I shot the documentary, I edited it myself, and I put everything I had into it. And I'll be honest, I did not land a brand deal. Maybe a couple of hundred people watched it, and a few weeks later, nobody cared. But it did teach me how much I actually love telling a real story. This was the first time I let myself believe that I hadn't made a huge mistake. So I stopped waiting for someone else to notice, and I just decided to do it myself. And this is when I created Life After Uniform. I'm not going to sit here and tell you it's been smooth or that I've got it all figured out now, but I am doing the thing regardless of anyone or anything, because this is truly what I want to do, and I just trust the right people will see it. Every time I finish a race, I always forget how hard it is to go back to the gym. And this morning I woke up and I just knew that it's hit me now. And for me, it takes a couple of days after I get home, everything to slow down and for my body to catch up. Well, today is just definitely that day where it's caught up with me. But I just knew coming to the gym and doing something, even if it's just jumping on a bike and just getting the blood flow moving and just doing something, I know is going to make me feel a little bit better. My heart rate's higher than it usually is, which is definitely still a sign that my nervous system is recovering. But I'm actually more aware than I've ever been of these signs from when I was competing in CrossFit. It's definitely something that I'm a lot more aware of. It's not so much the body. My body actually feels all right. I only had a day or so of soreness through the lower body. It's kind of like you're in this limbo phase of you've just been training for months, you've done the thing you were training for, and now what? And I do have somewhat of a plan, but I am still figuring out a lot of things with where I want to live and what I want to be doing in the direction of my business and this personal brand. And it's like, it just feels like limbo. I don't do good with limbo. I never have. Although my time in the Navy, it always felt like limbo. So you think I'd be used to it, but I just wasn't built that way. I do like to have direction. I like to have a strong compass with purpose. And I like to be moving forward always, in some way, whether it's slow or fast. I'm the kind of person that I can't be stagnant. I need to keep moving forward. I need to have goals and things that I'm working towards. And I need to be progressing and getting better every single day, no matter what that looks like. So I don't really have a plan for training in the next couple of days. And I'm flying out to Europe in 2 days, which I'm really excited for, but I still like to have some kind of structure with exercise. It's something that's still going to be a priority even while I'm traveling overseas. But there is a lot that I'm looking forward to after this limbo transitional phase that I'm in. It's the possibilities of opportunities, and knowing that I am leaving Newcastle at some point. It's like knowing that there's a new chapter ahead and that I get to rebuild, but from a different foundation. And it's that journey that gives me the satisfaction of rebuilding. It's like a breaking things down and rebuilding. But every time I do it, is from a different foundation, and it gets easier and it gets better every time. I just know that there is good things ahead for me, and I'm doing my best to keep my mind on that path of thinking that way. I've just been down in Sydney for the day looking at a potential place to move into, and to be honest, Sydney is probably the last place that I thought that I would consider moving to. And this place is actually in the Northern Beaches, which is very, very different from the Sydney that I, had in mind of like the traffic and the hustle and bustle and that like full city life. That's just not for me. So originally when I first thought of moving away from Newcastle, I thought Gold Coast was the first thing on my mind, and I was actually really set on it for quite a while. And going up there was fine, and I really enjoyed it, and I found a bit of rhythm up there. But there was something quite missing, and I was actually really scared to move to the Gold Coast. And don't get me wrong, being scared to do something doesn't necessarily mean not to do it. But I've been scared in so many different situations and for different reasons that I understand the difference with the scared feeling. The scared feeling I had was this feeling of it's not quite right, the decision. The decision to leave Newcastle was definitely the right decision. And for some reason, I just had this idea of like what the Gold Coast would be for me, and it would just be the answer to everything. But then I realised that a change in environment is good, but it still needs to be the right environment. It can't just be, I'm just going to up and leave and go to wherever and everything's going to work out. I needed to scope out, where would I train? What kind of gym community am I looking for? Do I have potential networks and people and work and things that are actually going to have a bit of a base there for me, rather than just starting off cold and with absolutely nothing, which is what I believe the Gold Coast would have been. It would have really been starting off from a blank canvas. I mean, I know a couple of people up there, but not like the connections I have still in here. The other thing is it's only 2 hours away from Newcastle, so it's a very easy move there or back, or if it doesn't work out, there's a little less risk involved. But it also brought up a lot of old feelings of when I was in the Navy and moving. There was never a thought of like, oh, okay, where do I want to go? It's always just like, oh, you're getting posted here, or, you're needed here. And you would just go to that location and you would just make it yours. You would just figure it out and you would just adapt. And, it wasn't ideal. Like, it wasn't aligned to you, whatever, who cares? You're serving the Navy and you do what you're told. So for me to have this complete freedom that I can literally go wherever I want, I can up and leave and go wherever I want, whenever I want, and there isn't anyone stopping me, there isn't anything holding me back, and I can work from anywhere. And I've never had so much freedom. And to be honest, it's actually debilitating having so much freedom as so many options. And you think it's going to be this great thing of like, I can do anything and go wherever I want. And it sounds great until you have it. And then it's just so overwhelming and debilitating it's scary because you're like, if I make this decision, but I can go here, but I can go there. I don't believe that it's great for us to have a lot of options, because it opens up a lot of overwhelming anxiety type feelings, because it's just too much. It's like walking into an ice cream shop and having every single flavour, and they're all slightly different, but they're kind of the same. And you're just looking wall to wall and it's all these ice cream flavours, and you're just going, well, which one do I pick? And because I've never had options ever, really, in my life. I left home at the age of 16 and it was all about survival. It was all get a job, work, live, pay for yourself to live, support yourself, survive. And, you know, joining the military in my early 20s, it was just, you got told where to be, like how to act. You knew where you were going to be. You didn't have options and choices, or at least they were very limited. So I think now, having so much freedom, it's a lot for me. It's a lot. The northern beaches seemed like it would be a very good idea for me because I just have this pull there. I just feel, it's hard to explain, but it's just a feeling in my gut of like, I think I need to be there. I think it's something that is drawing me there. I was having this conversation actually with somebody who I had served with, or at least crossed paths while we were both serving in the Navy, and we were talking about all this sort of stuff and having options and things like that. And the conversation specifically that we had was about getting dressed. So figuring out how to dress, what to wear after you leave the Navy. How crazy is that? Because I didn't realize I had been going through all of this alone. So I didn't really know or really think about it too much, about things I did when I left the military. For my friend that I was chatting to, for him it was not being able to decide what to wear, having the too many options and not thinking, okay, today I wear this, today I wear that. Because every morning you woke up and you put on the uniform, especially at sea, you didn't wear anything else but the uniform unless you were stepping ashore. And even then, you probably only had a couple of choices because you had no space to really store anything. So, you know, you only really had like a couple of different shirts and maybe a couple of pairs of shorts or pants. So, and it was just the same thing over and over again. So that was his experience. But also, I mean, he has a partner who's a civilian as well, so he was just, you know, following her lead in a way. So when my experience in that same sort of format was, I had to tuck my shirt in every day at work, and I was an aircraft maintenance engineer when I left the Navy. I was working as a tradie, and tradies in civilian world, you know, they aren't tucking their shirts in. I would tuck my shirt in. I had a collared polo shirt and, you know, nice blue tradie pants and boots, and I had a nice belt, and I would tuck my shirt in and have my belt, and it would be scented. The actual belt buckle would be scented. And I remember thinking, this is dumb. And I remember thinking and knowing it was dumb, but then going, I'm going to try. And I remember I untucked my shirt one day, and I did still have a belt on because the pants were a bit loose. And I remember getting to the car and I looked down and I was like, I can't do this. It just, there was something in me that just didn't feel right. And I was like, I have to tuck my shirt in. And everyone at work, I'd get there, and I would say 90% of people, maybe even 95% of people, were not tucking their shirts in. Maybe some of the head honcho guys were, you know, they're in the offices with their, you know, dress pants and their collared shirts. They were tucking their shirts in, but everyone that was an aircraft maintenance engineer on tools, absolutely not tucking their shirts in. So for me, it just felt like I didn't quite fit in there because of that. And I did that for the better half of 3 years, tucking my shirt in because that's what I've always done. And I didn't know how to not do it. So it's just wild to think about that. And this is why I want to have these conversations with people, because I also learn and become aware of things as well as they do as well. And it's like these shared experience of things that you're going through. And this is why I created Life After Uniform as well. And I'll be honest, I want this end goal, I wouldn't say end goal, but I want a goal of this Life After Uniform to become a community and a podcast. I want to be able to speak to people and allow them to share their experience, as well as me being able to bounce off them and learn and grow as well. And being able to broadcast that out to a community of people. And I just did not realize that it was going to be so similar between people that I've served with that are leaving. I knew that there was a bit of a gap with identity and trying to transition to civilian life, but I just didn't know how big that was and how similar it was. And I know that everyone going through a transition from being in the military into civilian life will still have their own, separate experiences, but overall, as an overall whole, it's still holistically the same. You're still having the same struggle, letting go of that identity and figuring out what you want to do. Overall, as a whole, that is the biggest struggles that I've found and that I want to dive into, and I want to share what I'm going through and hopefully have that impact, especially for people maybe considering they want to get out and not knowing what they're actually up for when they leave. I think that it could be a step forward in bridging this gap. I think I've finally found something that I'm not worried about the views or it, going viral or anything like that. I'm simply just trying to be me, and I'm just trying to share my experience. And I'm just hoping that I can help people from this. That's all I really want from this. If I can help just one person and change their life potentially, then all of this is going to be absolutely worth it.